Greetings and welcome. This is going to be the third video in my series on Gehazi. So I'm going to start my second point now, is that Gehazi didn't have any integrity. So if you want to know what's going on, you might want to watch the other two videos. I know that they're kind of I know they're kind of long, just like most of my videos. But anyway, yeah. But if not, this is a good standalone video as well. So anyway, I'm going to read out of 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 20. As a review, we just talked about, Gehazi's character, how he just didn't have that spiritual discernment that Elisha had. So this next story about him and Naaman, just like, and his interaction with Naaman, I think just shows a little more about his character. So I'm going to read out of 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 20. So that's 2 Kings 5:20. Here it says, "But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, Behold, my master hath spared Naaman this Syrian, in not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him and take somewhat of him." Wow. So this is kind of interesting to point out. Let's see. Okay. So anyway, just to give you some background here. I'm not reading like all this the entire story that leads up to this, but Naaman, it said he's a Syrian. Let's see. Yeah. Wait, Syrian. Wait, what am I reading? Yeah, okay, so yeah, Naaman's a Syrian, and if you've probably heard this story before. If you haven't, let me just explain what happened. But so he was a Syrian, and he heard from a Jewish servant girl that in Jerusalem, like among the Jews, there's a great man that can heal, Elisha. And great healer, because Naaman had leprosy and he wanted to get healed, and so he was willing to spend a lot of money. In fact, I think it was "Behold, my master has spared Naaman the Syrian." Yeah, let's see, house to even worship there. My master, right. So Naaman actually had a master that respected him a lot, and he's actually, I think he's the one that's actually paying for all of this. So his master gave him a lot of stuff, like clothes, silver, gold, and Naaman went with all of this money and all this stuff, all this wealth, and he was willing to give all of this. It was a lot. Like, later I'll show you the numbers, but it was a lot. He was willing to give a lot of stuff. And in fact, actually, let me just read it for you right now. I was actually going to get it to you later, but yeah, in verse 5, it says, "And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver and 6,000 pieces of gold and 10 changes of raiment." So raiment, and that's clothes. So Naaman took a lot of silver, gold, and clothes with him, a lot of stuff. And this is like, Naaman's master was willing to spend all of this to heal Naaman. So that's how much Naaman's master valued him. So Naaman was probably a good guy. Like, he was probably a good guy. He was on the Syrians, right? He wasn't a Jew. He was on, from a different country, but he was a good guy, and his master was willing to spend all this money to heal him. And so Naaman went with all of this stuff, and he was willing to give up all of this to get healed, And Elisha healed him, and now at first he told him, like, yeah, go dip in the water. And at first Naaman was like, got mad, and there's plenty of sermons read, on this topic about Naaman and how he got healed. It's like dip in the water like 7 times, and Naaman said, like seriously, that's it? Like, why is your water special? Elisha's like, no, just do it. And I mean, well, actually, Naaman got mad at first. He left, and then his servants were like, "Hey, it's like just do what Elisha said, like something simple, right? God tells you to do something, you should do it, even if it's something simple. And that's usually what God requires us. He'll have you do something really simple. And some people argue with God even over something simple. But Naaman eventually, he took the advice of the people that were with him, and he's like, "Fine, I'll do it, whatever." So he dipped in the water, and all of a sudden his leprosy's gone. And he's like, whoa, he's super amazed. He's like, he's healed. He's healed. And he was willing to give up all of this to Elisha for healing him. And Elisha's like, I don't want anything. Like, literally nothing. So all of that stuff, all that wealth that Naaman went with, he got to keep all of it. It was a free gift. He just got healed for free. And Elisha took nothing. Absolutely nothing. He just did the Lord's work. He did what God told him to do, and he took nothing. And now, I'm not saying that's always the case. Sometimes, obviously, if you work, you should get paid. Obviously, if you're a pastor of a church, then, and you're living, you do need a wage. But no, in this case, Elisha said, nope, I don't need anything. God told me to take absolutely nothing. And but obviously, all of these Bible studies, they're not about Elisha, right? I mean, Elisha is obviously important, I think, as a contrast to Gehazi in this case. But what's interesting is Gehazi's attitude. Gehazi's like, he's a hireling, he's a mercenary, and even among God's people, you will see these kinds of people. You're going to see these types, these mercenaries, these hirelings, and by their actions, sometimes you really don't know if they're actually saved, if they actually got saved. Sometimes they are saved. Sometimes they were lying from the very beginning. They never got saved to begin with, and it's very deceptive. So Gehazi was a hireling, a mercenary. He wanted something, and he's like, "Look at this amazing opportunity! Like all of this wealth." And like, how does Elisha just like give it all up? That's stupid. Like, why not take something? Obviously, we did the work, and all of that. I mean, surely we deserve something, right? So, actually, I probably skipped there's probably a lot of verses I should have read here as well, just to give you some background. I just jumped straight to 2 Kings 5:20, but Gehazi actually he lied to Elisha prior to this, and he said, let me go. I'm going to talk to Naaman, find something out. And let's see. Okay, I'm back. So what I was getting at, yeah. So yeah, here in verse 20. Gehazi was going to run after Naaman, and he was going to get something. So I'm going to read a few more verses here. So let's see. Let's look at verse 21. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, "Is all well?" Verse 22. And he said, "All is well. My master had sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, 8 talents of silver and 2 changes of garments." Wow. Okay, so right there. So I'm going to read, we can take these one verse at a time, but already in verse 22, this is already really bad. So Gehazi's supposed to be with Elisha, and he just randomly just leaves. So he leaves his post to try to do his secret, deceitful work here, and he lies to Naaman. So he says, "Oh, there's 2 young men. I left Naaman's like, why are you here?" And he's like, "Yeah, Elisha sent me." Okay, so he's already lying. Elisha didn't send him. And he's saying, "Yeah, there's these 2 young men, sons of prophets. They've come to us, and give them something. Like, we don't need anything. We're fine, but let's bring something for them." So just lie upon lie. Like, so when you start lying and being deceitful, you have to keep adding lies to that to work with your lie. And you have to have a very good memory. You have to remember your lies. It's a lot easier just to tell the truth because you don't have to lie. You don't have to remember the truth. The truth is obvious. It's what happened. But when you lie, then you have to remember stuff. You have to remember all the little details of your lie and who you told what and all of this. And so Naaman already, it gets downhill very quickly. The path of, lying and deceiving people, it goes downhill very fast. And it keeps building. It starts with something small and it just keeps increasing in size. So right here you can see Gehazi's already kind of going, downhill very, very quickly. So he's saying so he's lying. So it isn't enough just to say if he just came to him and said, hey, it would be really nice if I got some silver and gold. Then it's okay. I mean, obviously Elisha didn't want him to do that, but at least he wouldn't be lying, right? He'd be honest. So it's okay, I just want something. That'd be better. But no. He has to lie. He has to lie about it. He doesn't want to seem greedy, right? Some people are just upfront with their sin, right? They're just upfront. They're sinners, and they're just honest about it. And honestly, a lot of times God has an easier time dealing with these people that are just honest with their sin and that are open. No, but not Gehazi. No. He's deceitful because he's a Pharisee. Well, I mean, figuratively speaking, he's a Pharisee. He has an image to keep. That's the problem. People have an image. They care about their image. People that don't care about their image, sometimes that's a good sign. That's sometimes good, because God can work with these people. People that have an image and they want to keep their image, they start doing things to keep that image. So it's not about their character anymore, their real character, their true character, when their deepest hidden secrets and their real personality. No, it's their image. It's their reputation. It's what they want people to think of them. So Gehazi has a reputation to keep. He's the servant of Elisha. He can't be he's Elisha's right-hand man. He can't be greedy. He's not allowed to be deceitful and a liar, He can't just, he doesn't want to be seen that way, right? So it's that image. It's trying to keep that image. And so many problems, in the New Testament, you had that story with Ananias and, and his wife. And, it would have been better just for them to tell the truth. But no, they have to lie. They have to look spiritual, holier than they really are. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's what God hates more. He'd rather you just be honest with your sin, just upfront about it. That would be much better than deceiving people. Trying to lie to God, which is stupid. Trying to lie to people, you might be successful. Trying to lie to yourself, it's ridiculous. And so it's an image. It's trying to keep that image. So he's okay, well, it's not for us. It's for these other people. So he's already telling two lies. Elisha sent me. We got these guys here. I'm trying to help them out. Can you give us some stuff? And he doesn't give you that much. Some silver, some clothes. I'll read the next verse here. Verse 22, it says, and he said, 22, 2 young men. So Gehazi asked for a talent of silver and 2 changes of garment. And Naaman said, be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. Wow. So Naaman is Naaman's a nice guy. He's oh yeah, sure, no problem. I'll give you even more than you asked for. And he does. And it's only a fraction of what Naaman was willing to give up. Naaman was willing to give up so much more. And he's so for him, it's yeah, sure, whatever, no problem. I'll just, it's only 2 talents of silver, 2 changes of garment, which is, it's something, but it's not really that much if you think about it at the same time. And that's what Gehazi wanted. He was willing to sell away his character for something small, just for some temporary wealth, just some clothes and some silver. And I've already mentioned all the other men that have messed up, like Achan, very similar situation, a much worse outcome than whatever happened to Gehazi. You had Esau selling away his birthright for some chili. You had Judah just for some shekels, barely anything. I mean, there's plenty. There's examples of this throughout the Bible. Just men that just got greedy, and it's just a small amount. And at the time, they're like, "I need this," but is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is your sin worth it? That's really what you have to ask yourself. Is what you're doing, is this sin, is this dopamine rush that you're getting from whatever you're doing, is it worth it in the long term? You need to think long term. A lot of us, we just get short-sighted. You can only see the immediate future, immediate what's in front of you. What about in the future? What about years down the road? What's that gonna like? If you just keep doing what you're doing, you're like the end result is gonna be awful. You're gonna end up like Gehazi. You could end up like all these other guys, like Achan, Esau, and Judah. And instead of being Elisha, are you a Gehazi or are you an Elisha? And that's really what the sermon's about. It's like, do you want to be Gehazi, the guy with no vision, the valley of no vision? He can't see anything. He can't see into the future. He can only see what's immediately in front of him. The now. I need this. And his desires. And his desires got a hold of him really bad. And this wasn't some guy just like, this was a Jew. This was Elisha's right-hand man. Elisha picked this guy for a reason. I don't know why Elisha picked him. I don't know why Elisha picked Gehazi. I mean, you're looking at his character now. It's like, why did Elisha ever see in him in the first place? And I don't know. We don't have the backstory for that. But there are plenty of people like him, like Gehazi, living right now in churches all over the place. They're everywhere. And if you don't stay close to the Lord and in the Word, you'll end up just like him. You'll end up just like a Gehazi. Anybody can end up like this guy. Anyone can end up like Gehazi. Happens all the time. And unfortunately, I think this happens. His story is much more common than the Elisha story. Much more common, unfortunately. This happens all the time within Christian circles. This isn't just about unsaved people. No, this is specifically among Christians that this kind of behavior happens. It's that image. It's trying to keep that image. That the I am holy. Because once you have that status, it's like, okay, I'm a Christian. I need to keep that status. Then some people will do whatever it takes to keep that image, even if they're just inside, they're dead. They're dead, spiritually dead inside. So here we're reading this in verse 22. So yeah, Naaman sent him with all of this stuff. So yeah, let me take I'm going to flip to another verse very quickly right now. Colossians 3:5. Yeah, I'm going to read from Colossians 3:5 briefly. So, yeah, because right here, Gehazi's sort of like, in a way, dragging Elisha's name through the dirt here, because Elisha said very clearly, I don't want anything. I don't need anything. Gehazi's going back, and he's kind of like being double-minded here. He's almost like going back on his word. He's almost like speaking for Elisha and actually changing Elisha's, changing Elisha's word, making it look like Elisha's double-minded here. Which is totally not the case. Now, Naaman, he doesn't make a big deal out of it. He's like, okay, you guys change your mind here, whatever. But Gehazi's like, he's getting very close. He's almost, I would almost say, slandering Elisha's name here. And all in the name of the Lord. Very dangerous. I'm doing it for the Lord. These are the sons of the prophets. I'm trying to help out the sons of the prophets, So basically, he's not only being a thief and greedy, he's actually trying to look like a good person at the same time. It's even worse. It's actually trying to look like a good person while being wicked. And it's amazing how people get away with that. It's like killing two birds with one stone. Not only do I get what I want, I can also look like a good person while I'm getting what I want. That's how deceitful it is. So Colossians 3:5, it says, "Mortify therefore your members." Yeah, so Colossians 3, chapter 3, verse 5. "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry." Now, all of these sins, you could talk a long time about them, have several separate sermons on them, but actually, a lot of these look like I'd say two of these are like sexual sins, uncleanness, inordinate affection, covetousness, which is idolatry. Yeah, right there, that very last verse, covetousness, which is idolatry. Obviously, Gehazi, right now, super covet. Covetousness is everywhere. Like we're plagued with it every day. It's like the American, the American plague is covetousness. The American sin is covetousness. It's everywhere. You're fed it. It started with the TV. It just fed covetousness into people's hearts, and then it just kept getting worse every year as technology advanced. Now we have computers, internet, smartphones, and the media is just forcing you, like, you need this. This is a lifestyle. You cannot be happy unless you have this, and that's what it is. It just causes covetousness, jealousy, envy, and unrealistic expectations about life. That's basically what it is. Unrealistic expectations. I could go on a long time about this. Plenty of people have talked about this topic. Not just saved people. Plenty of like lost people are really pointing out how this is a huge issue right now in the world. Like they're talking about the psychological damage it's done to the current generation. This is literally a global problem, an American problem, and one that it's not just Christians like pointing this out. This is like lots of people have pointed this out. I'm kind of stating the obvious at this point. People are realizing what this is, but realizing what the problem is and doing something about it are two completely different things. You can realize you're sinning. You can realize you're doing wrong. You could be a smoker, an alcoholic, a druggie, a drug addict, and do nothing about it. And that's basically what's going on. Everybody knows what the problem is, but few people have the strength to overcome that problem and fight against the wave. Most people, even knowing what the problem is, get swept along with the wave. And that's how sin works. So that's how powerful it is. That's how wicked and intelligent and deceitful Satan is, that he has infiltrated the minds of just about all of us. And convinced us that we need things that we don't really need. And it's just ingrained in us at this point. And fighting against it, you're going to need God to fight against that. And so Gehazi, he got swept up in all of that, in his innermost desires. And here it's Colossians 3:5. It says, "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth." So he did not mortify his members. Every day you have to die to your flesh. Your flesh has to die. And he did not mortify those members. And he let his covetousness, which is idolatry, which is basically what it is. Covetousness is idolatry. You covet something, you elevate it above God. It is idolatry. And God is a jealous God. So covetousness is a huge sin. I think one that gets ignored a lot because it's just so rampant and common that people they don't think about it. They're just like, well, that's just the American way. You want something, you buy it. They never stop to think, like, do I need this? Do I really need this? And they just get into this cycle of buying and wanting things. So it's like you need to mortify your members every single day, and otherwise you will fall into this trap, and you will get sucked into the world, and you will fall into this trap of just being covetousness about everything. Okay, so you don't want to get stuck on this earth, and your mindset needs to be in heaven. And when your mind gets stuck on the earth, you become like Gehazi. You become covetousness. You start looking at here. You start looking at what can I grab here instead of what's above. You don't see what's above you. You don't see heaven. Heaven is invisible to you when you get covetous, when you just think about what you want, your desires. So Gehazi, that's in all of us. All of us are capable of being like this. This isn't just like one instance. Like, and it took him a while to become like that. This didn't happen overnight. He was serving Elisha for a while. And the thing is, like, people profit from sin. That's like, in the Bible it says in Ecclesiastes, I think, because sin is not punished. I'm not quoting it right, but because sin isn't punished like immediately, it is set in the hearts of men to do evil. And I think that's a very important verse to know. Like, why does sin go on? Because it's not punished. Someone is wicked, they're not stopped. They're going to continue being wicked because someone like that, they've probably seared their conscience. You can't appeal to their conscience and their reason anymore. So the only way to stop them is through brute force. If they're wicked and they're evil and they're a dictator, you can't appeal to their logic and their common sense and their morality anymore. It doesn't exist. Only brute force will stop them. And so that's why some people, they profit from sin. They get they take what they want and they get blessings, and they're wicked and they sleep at night because they've steered their conscience. Their morals, their moral compass is so twisted. They don't feel pain from sin. Gehazi here, to do everything he did, you have to ask yourself, did he feel bad about anything? And it's possible at this point he didn't, and I don't think that happened overnight. I don't think you're not born like that. You're not. I mean, if you're, I don't know what kind of how you have to be raised to be born and think like lying is normal. Like, it's gonna feel weird at first to do all of this stuff, to sin like this. So yeah, so Gehazi, yes, he benefited, and at first it looked like everything was going great. Gehazi got away with, he got stuff, and he looked like a good person. He made Naaman think that, Gehazi is a great guy, a great servant, and so let me continue reading this. I got a few more verses. Let's see. Yeah, let's go back. So it says 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 22. So yeah, I've read verse 23, and they bear them before them, and verse 24. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand and bestowed them in the house, and he let them in go, and they departed. So, he was hiding his stuff. Like Gehazi hid the money. He didn't want to show the money to Elisha because Elisha's going to go like, hey, where'd you get the money? Because so, all this time he's lying to Elisha. He's not planning to let Elisha know that he got this stuff from Naaman. He's going to lie to Elisha. So the sins just keep building. The lies are going to build upon lies, obviously. So he's hiding it. So when you start a life of sin, you're going to have to look behind your back because you're not being honest. If you lie to this person, you have to remember, okay, I lied to them. Like, I have to make sure certain details I don't tell them because you start lying. So when you start living this deceitful life and kind of like trying to keep your image, but your real life is different than your image, then it becomes difficult. And it's going to start bothering. You're going to have to start doing some kind of mental gymnastics. Okay, like, wait, I can't mention this. If I mention this, they're going to know I did that. And you're going to have to start. You got to start doing it. It's much better just if you're honest. You can just, you don't have to think about it. You're innocent. You don't have to worry about some. Trying to say like, am I allowed to say this? Should I be saying this? No, you're just telling the truth, and then you can sleep well at night. So that's verse 24, and then let them in go, and they departed. Verse 25. But he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, Whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, Thy servant went no whither. Went no whither. Yeah. So okay, he just lies build upon lies. Gehazi's like, I didn't go anywhere. I've been here the whole time. Now, I don't know what the time lapse is. I'm guessing Gehazi wanted to take care of this very quickly with Naaman, because if it took too long, Elisha would notice. Well, Elisha noticed that Gehazi was gone, and I don't think Gehazi probably should have thought of a better lie, but Elisha's not stupid. Plus, God would have, told Elisha what Gehazi was up to. He already knew. I don't think Elisha was oblivious to the character of his servant. He was probably very, very discerning about the character of his servant. And at this point now, why he kept him around if he knew what he was already like, I don't know. That's a good question. And in churches we keep people like that around. The pastors will put up with some people like that. They don't always immediately get thrown out and excommunicated and churched. You try to have grace towards those kinds of people, and only when their behavior is so unacceptable that it's damaging the church and splitting the church apart, only at that point do these kinds of people generally get these people that bring strife and division. That's usually when they get kicked out, or just blatant sin, like especially if they're in a position of authority and blatant sin. It's like that's just a bad testimony. Like we can't have those people around. So I'm just I'm going a little off topic, but this is all going on here. So he's already lying to him. Man, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, let's continue this in another video. Yeah, there's just so much to say here. I'm already off like 31 minutes here. I try to keep these videos sort of short. I mean, 30 minutes is already long. I mean, not to be like too critical, but most people's attention spans, unfortunately, don't last that long. These days, with the kinds of video length, the videos that get a lot of views are usually like 1 minute memes or something. Once videos get to like 5 or 10 minutes, people don't usually listen. But this is for these videos are for those that want the truth. And I understand, like, even if you don't want to watch the whole video, hopefully you can get something out of it. But yeah, for those that want the truth, that's what this channel is for. For those that want the truth, that want to hear it, even if it's just a little bit, or just a few minutes, that's basically what it's for. So yeah, I'm going to continue this in the next video. I'm going to continue this topic about talking about Gehazi and just how he continues this, and just these lies building upon lies, and ultimately Gehazi does get punished and he does reap what he sows. So I think I could probably get like another video in here or two. I mean, there's just so much to say here. This is a pretty he's actually a pretty interesting character. I think probably overlooked probably quite a bit. God can say so much about someone in just a few verses. Just a few little passages about someone. You could say so much. You could talk so much about this person. And it could be because they're doing right, or it could be because they're doing wrong. So anyway, I'll be continuing this in the next video. So yeah, see you next time.